To have you joining me this morning. I hope you're doing well. And today, what I want to talk about is this idea of how do we stay small and in awe. And these and looking at these is actually qualities of the human condition, and what does it look like to really have these qualities and live these qualities in our life. So, thank you for joining me here today to talk about that. And it was interesting yesterday when we talked about like we have a choice between being an arsonist or an architect, and I was just making some notes as we go into a future sermon. The idea that both of those have certain priorities and both of them have a certain purpose. And the priority of an arsonist is just to burn it down. Like that's what they prioritize is this idea of destruction. That's very, very, very different from the idea of an architect that is the concept of construction and probably reconstruction most of the time. How do we construct things versus how do we deconstruct things? Two very different energies. And that the priorities I don't even know. It's hard to even think what the priority of an arsonist is. It just is like burn it down, and somehow there's like cleansing that takes place when you burn it all down. I totally disagree with that. And an architect, the priority is again this idea of something that serves and there's something that is has structure and heft and gravitas to it, and in having those different things will allow lots and lots to grow and serve over an extended period of time, and how beautiful that is indeed. So when we look at it that way, and then we flip into like small and in awe, like how does that connect? So if we want to architecturalize our life, we don't want to move from thinking just burn it all down. And what are we going to build? We're going to become builders. A great sort of orientation as we go about that building is this idea of staying small and in awe. And this is coming up in a future series. We're doing one on looking at humility and the real life giving humility. And life giving humility has two. You have many lists, but these are two possible ways to hold characteristics of humility from a spiritual point of view. One is a completely accurate, undistorted view of yourself, and that's a beautiful thing to have. Just it's undistorted. It's yep. I'm a little bit of this. And I'm a little bit of that. I'm great over here. I really struggle over here. Yep. I've said many things that I'm sure were helpful, and I've said many things that were very painful. That we should all say that. We should all have that idea of this mixed bed, and it gets away from this crud of just constantly this self-esteem endeavor, which is just garbage, in my mind. It's like, no, let's get away from self-esteem and go to an accurate, undistorted self-image. And that is not a negative thing because we are fearfully and wonderfully made, as the psalmist said. We're made in the image and likeness of God. Like it has this beautiful starting point, and we also have our flaws. And somehow when we have our flaws, it makes the whole journey that much more beautiful than just trying to create some sort of ethereal day where we'll just have pure self confidence and self everything and self this and self that, and then we'll all be okay. I do not agree with that. I think that is a fool's errand. Good luck with feeling good about yourself 24/7 because you'll feel good about yourself until you don't. And that's not, that doesn't work terribly well. But accuracy is something different. And then the second point here is this idea of the connectedness of all things. So first one is we have this accurate, undistorted view of ourselves, and that's again beautiful thing. We're really clear about our strengths. We're really clear about our challenges. It's accurate view of yourself, but then it gets us small enough where it connects to this other one where we start to see the connectedness of all things. If you think of like again the mistaken journey that it's all about self-esteem, that leads to this bubble we carry around us where it's all about, do we feel good about ourselves in the minute, in the moment? Do we feel good? Do we feel good? Do we feel good? We kind of fill this bubble up with all those desires and all those affirmations that we're searching for, and there's just not, it just creates a bubble that there's not space for other people. And when we have a more accurate view of ourselves, like, yeah, God has given me these gifts. I know they're my gifts. I don't need external validation. I don't need a bunch of affirmation for them. They're nice to have. They're wonderful when we offer them to other people. It's just that they're not the primary concern anymore because you have some gifts from God, and you have some challenges that you're wrestling with, and those challenges will get you closer to your gift. It's a whole sermon in and of itself. But it allows the world to come in and allows other people to come in because you're just in awe of everything. You're just in awe of everything. I have a memorial service coming up next weekend for a dear soul, and she was just somebody in awe of life. I mean, just literally in awe of life, and it's so incredibly appealing to be around people like that. Their energy is infectious because they're always curious, they're always searching, they're always looking, they're always learning, they're always asking questions. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And you can see, friends, how that can bend right back into again the idea of architecturalizing it. How do we become architects of our lives? And how do we become architects of lives that serve other people? And boy, that architect, becoming an architect of a life that serves other people. Whoo, that is good stuff. I mean, that gets us really close to I think what heaven must feel like. And just a reminder that we've talked about many, many times here is that from a Christian church perspective, heaven, of course, is a place, but that's not the primary concern. And I don't think it's the primary concern, not just in the Christian New Church, but for Christians. It's not the primary concern is how do I get to heaven? The primary concern is how do I live heaven now? Thy kingdom come as in heaven, so upon the earth. That's the let's live heaven now and let's do the best we can. Yep, heaven is a place, totally true. Yep, we want to have that as our goal. Beautiful stuff, wonderful stuff. And at the same time, let's keep as the priority living heaven right now, because as Father Richard Worth says many times, it's heaven all the way to heaven or hell all the way to hell. And I think that's true. We can really live this now. So the summary as we go into the end is this, embracing this being small and being in awe. Carl Jung said, I want to climb down the ladder to become this little clod of earth of which I am. And I love that idea. We're just a little clod of earth, and that's a beautiful thing. You're all beautiful little clods of earth. It's great. It's wonderful. And when we do that, it allows us to just have this huge sense of awe about the world, about creation, about God, about other people. I mean, it's just gorgeous stuff. And I just look at today. Today, I have a wedding up in New Hope, Pennsylvania. For any former Pocono Mountain students, the former Pocono Mountain student used to teach at that public high school way back in the previous career. So, that'll just be wonderful. Those are the kind of things that I think, like we're just a small part of it. We just get to be part of this wedding or a great dinner out or a concert or whatever, just a small part of it. But that small part allows us to just be in awe of the grandeur of the moment. And I think we can live in that place. So may you have it, have a life this weekend where at least a couple of times you manage to lean into the practice of living small and living in awe. So that's the thought for today, dear friends. I hope that makes a lot of sense. And what we're going to do now is we're going to come in for a gentle landing. We're going to do a little prayer, a little meditation, a little blessing, and then we will say hi to friends on Facebook. So, with that, dear friends, let's listen to the prayer bell and a meditation. Be still and know that I'm God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you, keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you, and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you hope. Amen. All right. Let's see if we can actually get on Facebook this morning. We had a hard time with it yesterday. So let us try again here, and hopefully this cooperates. It was not very cooperative yesterday. All right. It's cooperating a little bit. No comments on that page. Let's flip on to here. Come on. Oh, all right. There we go. Now it's cooperating. All right. Couple of comments over there. All right. Let us see. Oh, Marcus, good morning to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. And Chignoni, living heaven now. Love it. Thank you. And see you on Sunday morning. Yeah, it really is. Like, I mean, living heaven now. Like, it's such a. It's just. It's one of those. I think there's a few things spiritually that we just want to put in our back pocket, and that would be one of, I would say, maybe five that are just so valuable to bust out and just remember. Yep, God is asking us to do this, to live heaven now. All right, dear friends, God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend ahead. And we will see you on Sunday at New Church Live for our service, Walking Through the Ashes. Take care. Like our content? It's funded by viewers like you. Please consider becoming a sustaining supporter of New Church Live today.